All right, Desiree Smith, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, for people who might not know who you are, you're Tupac's ex-girlfriend from back in like the early middle '90s area, time of his life. Can you let people know a little bit about you, where you grew up, and you know what it was like for you and everything?
I grew up in New York City, in Brooklyn and in Hell's Kitchen, between my two parents. And I grew up in the height of, I wouldn't say hip hop, you know, going to house parties and clubbing when it was open atmosphere. There was no VIP. Everybody mixed with everybody. It was a good, fun time to be in New York City.
Partying a lot, going out having fun.
Definitely. Those were my teenage and early 20s. It's a good time.
So as you're going out and you're partying, at some point you meet Tupac.
Yes. Yes. I met him at a club. It was called The Muse, and I wasn't even supposed to be going out that night. I had just broken up with someone. I caught them with another girl, and my friend, you know, was like, "We're not staying in the house. We're going to go out. We're going to have a good time, lift your spirits." And I met him that night. They popped up in the club, and Bobby Brown was there. He was there. Big was there. And they just got on the stage, and they did an impromptu performance, each of them. And as they were getting off the stage, my girlfriend got super excited because Bobby Brown was there, and she was like, I guess, a big fan of his. So she grabbed me, and she's like, we're going over there. I'm going to meet him. And she didn't get to meet Bobby Brown, but we met Tupac instead. The way they came off the stage, we just got kind of caught up in the traffic of all of that. And we were facing one way, and the whole crowd was coming the other way. So he kind of like grabbed our arms so we wouldn't like get trampled on. And we ended up being like bum rushed out of the club to, you know, with them. And then as we got outside and it dispersed, he let go of her and he just started talking to me, you know, and that's how we first met.
Okay, so you guys first meet, and is Bobby Brown and Biggie around at this time?
Yeah, they were all, I mean, they were in the crowd. It's just Bobby Brown went off, you know, to the side in the whole thing, and Big was there. He was with Pac. We all like kind of left together, and my girlfriend ended up going home because she didn't want to go out with them or go anywhere.
Do you remember what year this was?
I want to say 1992, I think. Yeah.
So this was real. This was real early in his career. Do you remember, like, what music was out at that time? Is this like when I Get Around came out?
Yes, that is what was out, or was coming out right around that time. I think he was just he just finished shooting Poetic Justice, I think, and Above the Rim. He was working on Above the Rim, matter of fact, so he couldn't have. Yeah, I think he was shooting Above the Rim in New York City, and that's why he was out here a lot. Because after that, I started seeing him, you know, quite often while he was shooting the film.
Did you know Tupac? Were you like a fan of his music, or?
I did not know who he was at all. When I met him, though, there was an instant attraction and the chemistry that was there. And that's when I got to know more about him.
Were you surprised to find out that he was this famous rapper and, you know, doing movies and everything?
I was, but he, you know, the energy he had, he was a star probably before he was a star. So, yeah, I didn't know, like I said, I didn't really know who he was. I did see him on the stage performing his song, and I was like, oh, okay, but I really didn't like know who he was. I was more into like the New York music scene.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, so you guys meet, and you guys go hang out afterwards?
Yeah. We went and hung out. He invited me to go. He wanted to know if I wanted to go have some drinks, smoke, and hang out at the hotel. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. And my girlfriend was like, I ain't going. And he made a little joke. he was like, oh, he was like, platinum pussy over there. She ain't trying to go hang out with us or whatever. He was like, that's okay. I'm gonna go here with Gold. And you know, we was laughing. She went home, took a cab. They put her in a cab, and I left with him. Big. There was another female, I think, his manager. And we went to the Parker Meridian. That's where he was staying at. And then, you know, like, we all was in the living room drinking, talking, laughing, getting to know each other, smoking.
What was your impressions of Bobby Brown and Biggie when you met him?
I did not meet Bobby Brown. And I met Big, and Big was cool. He was funny as hell. And he was cool. I don't really remember the female that was there too much. She wasn't really talking too much. But Big and Pac, they was just joking. Like, I was crying laughing. Like, you know, it was just that type of vibe that was going. It was just fun.
So they were just throwing a lot of jokes and everything.
They was cracking jokes, talking shit, you know. And we're smoking, so, you know, that already got me giggling, drinking. We was drinking Tanqueray, orange juice. Yeah. So the vibes, it was chill.
How did you guys stay in contact afterwards?
He gave me his pager number, and I lost my pager. So I was devastated after that. And then one night in the club, I run into Big, and Big's like, I know you. And he's like, wait. He was like, you the girl from, you know, that night. And he was like, nah. He was like, you spoke to Pac, you know he's in town. And I was like, I told him I lost my pager. So I was like, he didn't have no way to get in contact with me. And he told me, like, don't leave this club without me seeing you first. He was like, because I know he want to see you. So some point in the night, he came and got me and my girlfriend, the same one from the first night. And he was like, he told me he had spoke to Pac. I don't think he did, but he was like, come with us. I'm going to take you to his hotel. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So we got there. We go to this, one of the rooms or whatever, and I think Dave Hollister was in there because they were doing MTV, the live performance that they did. And so we were in there chilling, drinking, smoking, playing cards. And I'm like, where's Pac? Like, what's going on? You know, whatever. Like, this is after the club, so it's probably like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. At 6 o'clock in the morning, somebody knocks on the door, and it's Pac. And I open the door for him. They sent me to open the door. And he saw me, and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, and he must have thought, like, I was there with one of the dudes, but I wasn't. So, you know, I was like, oh, no. I said, you know, Big brought me here, and he told me he called you. He was like, I was asleep or whatever he was doing. I could only imagine. But, you know, he was like, oh, nah. He was like, listen, I got to go take care of this thing. He was like, go home, get dressed. We're going to go out later. And he was like, meet me back here about 6 o'clock. We exchanged numbers, and that's how we reconnected. This time I didn't lose my pager on my cell phone. I don't even think I had cell phones back then. But, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So thankfully, Biggie, you know, I ran into him that day. He remembered me, and after that, you know, we pretty much stayed in contact. And that's how things got going.
So you guys actually almost never even connected again.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that was a strong possibility that could have happened. Okay,
and where do you guys go from here? Do you guys just start hanging out more regularly?
Yes, he started shooting, I'm trying to think. I don't remember exactly what movie he was shooting. Oh, no, the one where he had that scar on his face, right? What was that?
Above the Rim.
Okay. So he was shooting that film, and he was here a lot. So he was staying at the Parker Meridian, and I happened to live on 50th Street and 9th Avenue. So when he was in town, I would always, like, link up with him, and I would go stay with him. The studio where he happened to get shot at, one time he was flying in from Cali and his flight was delayed, but he had called me and told me to meet him there, you know, and his flight ended up getting delayed, so he was like, you know, instead of you just staying there waiting for me, he's like, let me just go and, you know, he's like, he's just gonna go shoot it, and then he'll come meet me. So he ended up like coming to my house, hanging out on my the stoop in front of my building. You know, we were just kicking it there. He came to get me, and you know, we would hang out. We would hang out a lot. Like I would see him a couple times a week, and stay with him.
Do you have any stories from hanging out from those times of you know, some wild stuff that might have happened?
You said some wild stuff?
Well, I don't know. You know, Tupac, it seemed like, you know, something interesting was always going on in Tupac's life.
Around that time, I couldn't say that there was anything particularly wild going on because it would really be just me and him. Yeah, pretty much not around that time. Like, he didn't have me around a lot of shady characters that were around him. So, I mean, I didn't really see all the craziness of what was going on, like that stuff with the girl and, you know, all that stuff. But our relationship was kind of different because, you know, we were, you know, it was just us a lot of the times.
Well, how long were you guys dating for? Was it like about 2 years?
No, see, we were off and on. So like when he caught that rape charge, or a sexual assault charge, not rape, sorry. I ended up going upstate to go to school for a while. And so that was like a little break. Then when, you know, after that, I ended up coming back, and then he ended up getting shot, and we got back in contact with each other once he got locked up. I'm sorry, I'm a little confused here because I'm like,
It's a long time ago.
It is.
I know it's
it is. And the weed don't
it's
help.
been a while. So
okay.
I definitely understand.
Sorry about that. So, yeah, so I think I would say that it had to be like 2 years. Because he got locked up in 94?
I think so, 94, 95.
No, he passed away in 95 in September. So I would say, yeah, off and on. We were kicking it for about 1.5 years, probably, before he went to jail. But there would be, you know, we have little falling outs, and then we, you know, talk back to each other. But yeah.
Did you ever meet Puffy during this time?
I had met Puffy, not with him, but I did meet him back in the tunnel days.
Oh, okay. Did you guys go to any, like, did he take you to any big parties or anything like that?
We met up in Puff's, one of his birthday parties that he had in Roseland. Was it Roseland Ballroom? That he, you know, he was there. We did go to the tunnel though one night, and I think like while we were online, what was it? Some of the Wu-Tang Clan was there and stuff. So that was a party we went to and we hung out at. But we met up at Puff's party, then we met up afterwards, and that was about it on the party scene.
What was Puffy's party like?
It was nice. It was nice. It was fun. Everybody was dressed up. A lot of celebrities were in attendance. It was a really cute party.
Anything happened there? Anything exciting happened there?
I just think the amount of celebrities that turned out and the people that were on the stage, like that was a highlight, because you didn't see that many famous people in one place like that, you know. But no fighting, everything. It was just, you know, it was grown and sexy. It was a very cute event.
I believe during the part, I'm not sure if you guys are dating, you guys are on and off, but, you know, Tupac has this situation with Aniana Jackson. Do you remember that?
Yes. That was around the time we were dating. That was, He went to that
That
club.
was during the time you guys were dating?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Was.
How'd you find out about everything?
He told me. And
Okay.
the news. After, I mean, he told me after he was arrested, but I found out, you know, I found out when everybody else found out when he got arrested that, was that the morning or night? So I saw
What was your reaction when you found out?
My initial reaction was that she was lying. I did not know that to be him. He wasn't a sexual predator or even aggressive in that type of nature. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he loved women. Like, I was just like, this has got to be bullshit. Then, you know, once I met up with him after that happened and he told me what happened, I was like, that's crazy that a female would do you like that, especially for something that you did not do. And convicting him over touching someone's ass aggressively, you know, that was injustice to him, something he didn't deserve. And it really hurt him, you know, especially it being a black woman.
Do you remember what his side of the story was?
His side of the story was that she sucked his dick in the damn club. He took her back to the hotel. They had sex, consensual sex. You know, she came around. I think he told me that she gave him head that day and he didn't want to fuck her. You know, and like he was moving around. Everybody was in the hotel, you know, hanging out. And that basically like he left the room. It was a suite. And that he left the room and he was just like, he shouldn't have left her there. He should have made sure that she left. And you know, whatever happened to her, he didn't tell me the details of what happened in that room after he left, but he just said, you know, he should not have left her. He should have made sure she left. And none of this would have, you know, popped off. So I don't know that she wasn't assaulted or was. I think because the case was an ongoing case, you know, he didn't want to describe in detail that, but he assured me that he did not do shit to her and that, you know, she may have got annoyed or pissed off that he didn't want to fuck her that day. And that's what I was told.
I mean, that's, man, really stressful situation. You know, how was he like, you know, handling it and everything, going through all that?
I don't think that he thought that he was going to go to jail for that, honestly. Like, I think he thought he was going to be able to fight those charges because he did not rape her or, you know, do anything that, you know, like what she was trying to make it seem like. So I think he was blindsided when he ended up getting convicted of that. Like,
man,
definitely didn't think he was going to jail for that.
How did he start moving? Did he start having different people around him or?
That's when he started having psych, people from other places, people like that from, you know, he stopped hanging out with the New York crowd so much and started having more of his family members around him and people that he trusted.
Did he slow down partying?
I think at that point he started partying for work. More so like, you know, things he had to do. I don't think he was like trying to be out all the time, but he would go to events, industry events more, it seemed, than nightclubs.
Okay.
Well, in New York City, I would say.
Did you ever meet her? The
No.
woman, Aniana Jackson?
Mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I mean, I guess her identity was kept a secret for a while or something? Like, nobody really knew who she was?
Right. Well, she made sure to do, I believe she did an interview. Everybody knows who she is now.
Right, right. She did a Vlad interview a few years back, you know, where she detailed her side of the story. there was some parts in it that didn't really kind of like link up or didn't really like make sense and everything. You know what she was saying. But I believe that's like her only real interview that she's ever really done about it. You know. So as this is going on, how are you handling it? How are you feeling about it?
I felt bad for him. I felt bad for him. I kind of, I was young at the time, so I just felt like he was going to be okay. He didn't do it as well. But I felt bad that he was going through that and being scrutinized, being labeled as such, a heinous thing. And that's about it.
Now, at some point, you guys end up having a falling out?
No, I ended up going upstate to go to school. So I wasn't around as much. At this time, I'm trying to think. That was during the winter time, so I was up there. And then in the spring, I went with him to Atlanta, and I went with him to LA, but like I said, I was going to school upstate. I was only coming home like weekends and holidays sometimes.
You guys went to Atlanta and LA. What'd you guys go over there for? To work? To party?
No, he took me to Atlanta to meet his family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and hang out. And then LA, we went. He had to do a song with this female artist. I forgot what her name is, but he took me out there with him to go do that. And I'll never forget. I was like, I want to see the hood. I want to see Compton. I want to see this. And he was like, I'm taking you to the nice parts of town and show you all this stuff, and you want to go see the hood? And I was just like, I'm like, oh, I've never been here before. It's like Bright Lights, Visit City. I want to see everything. I want to see what I've seen in the movies and stuff. He was like, just like, girl. So, yeah. But LA was dope. We stayed at the Mondrian, and I had a good time out there. It was beautiful. I first started loving LA from going with him. And
okay. And so you guys come back from your trips, and are you still in school?
Nope. I don't think I was in school at that time.
Okay, so you're done with school and you're back in New York?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you guys hanging out a lot more now that you're back?
He was traveling. He wasn't in the city as much, so, we would link up whenever he came to town. And then that's around the time, like, I used to go to the tunnel religiously every Sunday. So, if he was flying in and he didn't get in contact with me, he would just come there and he knew I would be there. Or, he would call. I do got a funny story for you one day. One time he was coming to New York and he was looking for me. He was calling me. At the time I lived in Brooklyn, and my aunt was working, doing the psychic hotline for Dionne Warwick's psychic hotline thing she had. So she would be on the phone doing that, and I guess she must have couldn't clicked over the line or whatever. So he was calling me looking for me, but I wasn't home. And she picks up the phone and she's like, "Hi, 1-800-SOCK-ITS, whatever." So he's like, "What?" He's like, "Is Desiree there?" And she's like, "Oh," she got embarrassed. She's like, she was like, "She's not here. She's not home right now." He's like, "Well, since you're such a psychic," he was like, "When's she gonna be home so I could, get in contact with her?" And my aunt was just rolling like, he's always funny. He always cracked jokes, and, his sense of humor and personality was larger than life. But I just thought that was so funny. Like, he's like, "Well, since you're such a psychic, why don't you tell me when I can reach her or where she's at right now?" So that was, yeah.
Okay. What was it like meeting his family?
Well, they were all super cool. I really liked his mother a lot. When she first saw me, she pulled him to the side and was like, what you doing with her? Like, she's kind of young. Like, and, you know, she's just a baby. You know, he would tell her, he was like, well, she's my baby, you know. And she was like, all right, you know. They were all cool, fun family, all his little cousins, all the Outlaws. I met all of them that trip. And his female cousins and sister, you know, they were all cool. They were like any other family, you know, ranking on each other, playing jokes, doing stuff. You know, there was cookouts. It was his mother cooked. I didn't know how to cook at the time. And so after everybody, you know, I was watching what she was doing in the kitchen. And he asked me to cook for him. I thought I was going to poison this man. He wanted some fried chicken. But I was able to pull it together. I watched what she did, and, you know, I made it, and it was okay. While I was down there was a tornado, and he ended up pulling out, like, he had a rifle, and it had, like, I don't know, a night scope thing on it that was, like, you look through it. So, like, you know, he was showing me through the window, like, we were looking far distances and trying to see while, you know, the trees was blowing and all that stuff. I didn't see no tornado, but, you know, there was a tornado watch at the time. But that was a pretty interesting experience. I'd never really, like, you know, touched guns and stuff like that before. So.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. You got to meet his mom, brothers, sisters, family, and everybody. Was that your first time meeting everybody?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're back in New York. You know, you're back from your doing your schooling and everything. Mm-hmm. And at what point do you guys break up or have a falling out?
One day.
Am I too fast?
No, that's right around the time, because after that's when he got shot, and that's how, you know, he popped up at the tunnel one night. I didn't know he was there, and I was outside. One of my peoples from where I grew up at owned a bike shop. So, like, I saw, you know, some people that worked for him, they was out there on their bikes. So the dude was like, oh, you want me to take you for a ride? I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, I wasn't talking to him or dating him or anything, but I was on his bike, and, like, Pac showed up with some of his friends. And I guess he was, like, telling them, like, you know, my chick be here, whatever. And the guy pulled the bike up right where he was standing with his friends. I didn't even know that. I pulled the helmet off, and, you know, he was kind of livid about that. Like, you know, I guess he was, like, talking about me good, and then it's like I pull up and I'm jumping off some dude's bike. And at the time, you know, I wasn't a great communicator, so I didn't really know that, you know, I just got kind of, like, caught an attitude real quick, and so that, you know, we had that little falling out. We had some words, and, you know, I acted like I didn't care, so I walked off, you know. And so that was the first falling out that we had. No, I said, and we didn't talk for a little while till when he got shot. Was, you know, I went to the hospital, but he had just left. So, like.
How'd you hear about him getting shot?
The news. Yeah.
Oh, the news?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't really know the guys or know of the guys that were involved in that, or the people that he was, like, running with, because he never, ever had them around me. So I didn't really know, like, that they, you know, like, they were legitimate, really street dudes. So, you know, he was doing interviews, he was saying things, and, you know, had I known, like, the schematics of who they were, I would have not really been surprised that they would have did something like that. But at the time, you know, not knowing, I was.
Now, a Big Stretch was there with him when he got shot. Did you know Big Stretch?
I did. I met him when I first met Pac. He was there the first night as well. And he was, you know, he was always around him. They were always together.
How did you feel finding out that he got shot? You know, being that you guys kind of just had a falling out and everything, it probably was
felt
rough.
Horrible. You know, I felt horrible. I was worried. I was concerned. you know, I naturally cried. Like, you know, I didn't want nothing to happen to him. And, you know, the last time we saw each other, the things that, you know, the energy was just hostile. Like, so I, you know, I felt bad.
Okay, so you ended up going to the hospital to try to see him?
I did. And he had just left. So, you know, if I maybe would have found out earlier, you know, but.
Hey, he checks himself out of the hospital. I believe he goes to Jasmine Guy's house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you get in contact with him during that time, or was it later?
It was later, because if you recall, he went to court after he got shot. What was that, a couple days? And then they locked them up right after. So they locked him up. You know, I was going to write to contact him, but then I heard that he got married. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to fall back, leave him, you know, like, you know, he's married. I'm going to leave him alone. Until the time when I bumped into Stretch and he was like, oh, he was looking for you. He wants your number, you know, and he was like, give me your number. I'm going to get in contact with him and I'm going to come, you know, I'll come to, you know, check you and tell you, give you his address and his information and all that stuff. But then he came back maybe a few days later to a week, and he wasn't really trying, like, it wasn't like he spoke to Pac on my behalf or got, you know, this information. Like, he kind of was like, you know, on some other type of time. So I just was like, that was weird. You know, then I'm hearing, you know, that was after that interview from The Vibe where, you know, Pac was saying that he don't rock with East Coast and this, that, and the third. So, you know, I see his friend with some of the people from Junior Mafia, and I'm just like, and then he's like trying to talk to me and holler at me, and I just was like, this is strange movement. That's what made me reach out to Pac finally, because I was like, you know what? I was like, I want to know what's going on here, you know. And, you know, when I reached out to him, that's when, you know, he was like, yeah, he told me he never had spoke to Stretch about that, and that he really wasn't moving with everybody the same anymore. That was how we reconnected. And then it just took back off from there again.
Was he mad when he found out about Stretch trying to talk to you?
Yeah, but I think he was mad equally for that, as well as that he was with like Big's people, because he felt that Big had something to do with his whole situation. So I think he was mad about both things.
And eventually, for the first time, you go to see him in jail?
Yes.
Yes.
How long after he locked up did you go see him?
He was locked up I would say maybe a couple of months. Because like I said, he got married in Rikers. I just fell back on that. And then when he was upstate, I remember what I was wearing when I first went up there, so it was kind of warm. So it had to be like the spring.
What was that first visit like?
I was really happy to see him. We had been, you know, writing each other for a little while. But it was back like, you know, like it never ended or stopped. You know, he told me he still had, you know, feelings for me, and that he wanted to, you know, see where and how it would go. Yep.
As you guys are writing back and forth, I think there's been some letters that have been online and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular letter that was your favorite or anything?
I think it was the first one, because I was just so happy to hear from him and, you know, telling me how he really felt about me and, you know, just that I would say the first letter. After that, everything else was just a bonus, you know.
At some point while you're visiting him, does he ever talk to you about Biggie and the whole shooting situation?
Always. Always.
What was he saying?
You know, he was mad. He was mad. He felt betrayed. You know, he didn't feel Big set him up. He just felt like Big knew and didn't tell him, but, you know, he did hint to him, you know, that the people he was around, you know, wasn't the people he should be around. Like, you know, they wasn't good dudes, or, you know, they had, you know, so, I mean, he was upset. He felt betrayed. He was paranoid. You know, he felt like he didn't know who he could trust, who was out to get him, who was really on his side.
Did you cook for him numerous times? And what was his favorite thing to eat from you?
No. So I only cooked for him that day in the house, and his mother had, she made Dungeness, he loved crabs, Dungeness crabs. He, fried chicken. He also loved this damn little restaurant in LA, El Pollo Loco. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that charbon chicken. Mm-hmm. I know, I like it too. Yeah, so I only cooked for him that day, and I didn't know how to cook back then. Now I could, boy. But back then, no, I couldn't cook. I thought I was going to poison him, that I was going to give him raw chicken. By a miracle, it came out good. He was high anyway, so I'm sure anything would have tasted good.
And you briefly touched on this. Did any of Tupac's friends or any other person in the industry attempt to court you?
Mm-mm. Okay. Mm-mm. What else? When we were, well, one, you asked me any more stories. When I was in Atlanta, he ended up having a barbecue, and they invited people over. And I remember there was this, like, you know, there was this female there that worked at Magic City, and I'm sure she probably had the hots for him. So, you know, she was talking to me, and you know, she's like, oh, how old are you? How's this? She's like, where are you from? You know, she was trying to get, like, information. And she's like, you know, another time she's like, oh, my God, like, you're a baby. She was like, she made a comment of, like, I wonder what he sees in her. And, you know, like, he had to kind of, like, tell her, like, yo, like, you know, I don't know what you're thinking, but that's, you know, that's my baby. Like, you know, she's with me, and, you know, she's good. And at another, you know, point in that day, like, which was a fun part of the day, was they were all outside playing football. He took off all his jewelry and put it on me. And then, you know, some of the Outlaws is like trying to run behind me, acting like they're gonna take it off, you know, they're gonna rob me and stuff like that. Like, you know, but just playing around. Like, they were all very playful. It was always, you know, good, fun energy. I didn't have brothers and sisters close growing up. You know, I do have a brother now, but, you know, so I never really, like, got to experience that type of family dynamics. I was the only child for a very long time, and, you know, it was cool. His uncle, funny as hell, Castro's dad, and, you know, it was a nice dynamic to be a part of and experience, you know, that I'll always cherish.
Now, sometime when he's in jail, he gets, his appeal gets accepted, and he gets an appeal.
Yes.
So how'd you find out about everything? How'd you find out about that?
I was there. I was, like, he rented, well, he had, so, like, at one point I started visiting him often, and then I just stayed up there for, like, a couple of weeks, and I would just come see him every day. And this was around the time that, you know, he was, some of the Outlaws would, like, they'd fly in and come stay at the same hotel. Like, you know, I was just basically kind of living up there for a little while. And, you know, this is around the time when he decided to get a divorce. or to annul the marriage or whatever with Keisha. And I was there when, you know, Suge came and he signed his contracts, and, you know, the lawyer came and they spoke. And so he knew that he was going to be getting that appeal and he was going to be getting out. And I knew as well. I was there.
Suge Knight was going to see him, I believe, you know, quite a bit during this time. What was his feelings about Suge Knight?
I think he liked him. You know, he felt that that was a power move, you know, to align himself with him. And, you know, but he did make a comment one time, like, you know, he's signing his soul to the devil to take care of his family. Because, you know, I guess if he wasn't in that predicament, maybe he would not have went to death row. But that's a speculation. I just know that was the comment made.
You mentioned that he was going to get his wedding annulled. And he was doing this when he was still in jail? He was doing this?
Yeah, it was annulled before he got out of jail. I think, pretty sure.
I believe I seen somebody say that he only got married for the conjugal visits.
I don't want to be a mean-ass person and say evil things about other women. Trying to be a better person in life, but...
Okay, so he gets the news that he's getting an appeal. Mm-hmm. So at this point, he's going to have a bond.
Yes.
But it's going to be a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And Suge comes with him saying, you know, we'll get you out of jail, signed to death row. You know, Tupac sounds like he has
The appeal came because David Kenner. So Suge is the one, you know, his lawyer is the one that did the, got him to get the appeal.
Oh, okay, okay. So they were already working together,
yes.
And if they got the appeal, then,
right?
You know, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so okay. So at some point though, he signs with death row, and you're there. You're one of the witnesses.
Yes.
What was that like?
I was already on the visit. I think one of his cousins or somebody was there with us on this visit, and Suge came in. You know, came in the room. Stature, super tall, big guy. You know, the little lawyer behind him, looking like a mafioso dude. I don't know, that lawyer looked a little shady. And they came in, you know, they sat down. He was like, you know, he was like, you ready? Like, you know, and it was excitement because we knew him doing that, he was going to be getting out of jail. So it was a pivotal moment.
And the day comes, he finally gets out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a call from him?
Yes. I did.
And what does he say?
He was like, I'm out, I'm getting on this flight. He was like, you know, he was telling me like, you know, he's going to send for me to come out there and chill with him, whatever. And, you know, he was just happy. He was just happy. He told me thank you for the clothes because, like, you know, he had sent me to go shopping for him. And get his outfit when he was getting out and stuff. So, you know, he called to thank me, and that was it for that moment.
Tupac finally gets out of jail. Everybody's hyped up about it. They find out he's on death row. You know, I believe you guys have already talked the first day he got out. Mm-hmm. You know, so what's going on from there?
He was making his rounds. He said he had to get certain things, you know, situated. And the next time I spoke to him was, well, no, not the next time I spoke to him, but like I said, the day he called me to let me know that he had smashed Faith or whatever. He called me and he's like, I did it. He's not excited. I did it. And I'm like, what you did? Like, you know, what happened? What you did? And I'm thinking like, you know, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm thinking something musically or a role. And he's like, I fucked her. And I was like, what? like, oh. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you did it. Like, all right, I see what you know, you did it. you know, he was like, yeah, he was like, that shit was easy, like, you know. And, you know, he was telling me other stuff about what was going on out there. He's, you know, making a new album. I'm going to be really excited to hear it. And that, you know, he was telling me, like, you know, get myself ready to come out there. So I was originally supposed to meet him in Atlanta, but he was like, he wanted me to come to LA instead.
A lot of people have accused Tupac of lying about the Faith situation. Knowing Tupac really good.
He's not lying on his dick ever. He ain't that type of person. Yeah, I couldn't even see any type of female that just didn't want him. Like, but he definitely wasn't lying about it. You know, her knowing what was going on between her husband or soon-to-be ex-husband and him, you wasn't even supposed to be in the studio. You shouldn't have been singing on those songs. You know, you were mad at your man and your husband, and, you know, you did some spiteful shit. But he definitely wasn't lying. He had no reason to lie to me about fucking her. I mean, I don't get nothing out of that. That shit made my stomach turn when I got off the phone with him. I started throwing up. Like, so, you know, but I'm a woman. I got children. She has a son with this, you know, man. I would, in her predicament, I would probably just not answer the question, but I could, you know, relate to why she would deny it venomously, you know, like, but he definitely wasn't lying. No way, no. He's never lied to me. Good, bad, and different. He always kept it 100. So I don't know him to be a liar at all. About nothing.
It was kind of odd for her to even be around him, right? Because
of course,
when Pac was in jail, he went off on Biggie and Puffy, right? In one of the magazines.
Yeah, in the Vibe. He did. That's, you know, so it's like that right there is a violation of itself. Like, what you doing? Oh, you going to say it's making money? You wasn't hurting for money. You didn't have to do anything or take anybody's money. All money ain't good money. So, you know, just off the principle, that wasn't cool.
Tupac must have felt really comfortable around you to call and tell you these types of things. You know, it's being that, you know, you guys were so close and you guys were dating on and off for so long.
First and foremost, I feel like we were friends more than anything. You know, we talked a lot about our lives, our dreams, childhood, you know, all types of things. So he definitely was comfortable and trusted me to, you know, talk to me. Plus, when we was in jail, he's plotting on this and I'm sitting there with him talking about it. You know, this was like, you know, some of the stuff we talked about. So you know, of course he's going to call me and be like, I did what I said I was going to do. Because he was saying it to me from the jump. You know, the whole fucking Faith thing hatched in jail.
You guys having this close relationship, is there any other actresses that he might have shared with you?
I mean, you said actresses? He slept with...
Or famous celebrities?
I mean, he slept with... In that era is pretty much who didn't he sleep with. You know, we would talk about stuff like that sometimes. Like I said, he always kept it honest with me. Like, when we were together, we were together. But when we were not, you know, he was dating other people and doing, you know, him. And if I chose to want to do me, that was my choice as well. So, you know, I think I said it before, like, you know, I mean, everybody knows everybody.
I believe you talked about the girl from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, when I first met him, he was kicking it with her too. I thought, you know, like from watching her on TV, I was like, she's so not his type, but okay. But I guess, you know, that's just a persona, being an actress. So, yeah, he was messing around with her.
Okay, so Tupac is out. You know, he's hooked up with Faith. And I believe at one point he sends for you?
Yes.
Okay, and you get to Cali, and what happens?
Well, the first thing was that his assistant picked me up from the airport, and he's like, Pac wanted me to show you something. So I was like, okay. He puts on some of the tracks from the album, and it's like, he made these songs for you, you know, like about you. He played I Ain't Mad at You, and where'd you go? Oh, there you go. He played I Ain't Mad at You, and, you know, he showed me the part, you know, where he's talking about the woman. And, you know, that was touching, you know, just getting there. Rather be a nigga. I was a little bashful about that one. And so, you know, that was my first experience. I get to the Beverly Hills bungalow, and we get up to the room, and he's there. And, you know, after we kissed, hugged, you know, he whipped out a ring. And I got super excited. I'm like, what the hell? But it was a thank you ring, you know, for everything, being there for him and stuff like that. It was really pretty, and I was happy to have gotten it. And but it was funny.
Did you guys go to dinner that night?
Yeah, we ended up going to Monty's with all, you know, all the boys were there. His assistant and his assistant's girlfriend. And that was dope, you know. It was just like it was like one big family reunion. Restaurant was fly. The food was really good. You know, we were drinking and just celebrating. The next day, he took me to the studio, and he started playing some of the songs for me. I met a few people that were there. You know, the guys were outside playing football, and we were drinking, smoking, you know, just hanging out. And no, it was a cool day. That's when he played. That's when like I told you, he played the song with Faith. He played, you know, all the other cuts off the album, and, you know, he was like asking me which, you know, what I liked, you know, what songs was cool and stuff like that.
Were you surprised that he got Faith on a song?
No, because he already had told me when he called me that he, you know, he got her, you know, basically that's how he lured her in to get, you know, into bed with her, was by telling her to get on the song. If she's willing to come to the studio and hang out or be around him, you know, then, you know, he could try to make his move at that point.
At this point, does he tell you what he's going to do? Does he tell you about a diss song or anything, or how he's going to present it to the public?
No, he didn't. I don't think that song was made at that point. I think it was made after. Because this is even before the album came out. He was still working on All Eyes on Me. It wasn't even out yet.
Yeah, I don't think Hit 'Em Up came out till, you know, way after All Eyes on Me, you know.
Yes.
It wasn't even on there, you know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he probably was working. But the thing with Pac was, like, he'll sit down and write a song in 5-10 minutes, like, not 5-10 minutes, but, like, you know, he'll just sit down and it'll come to him and that song will be done. So whenever he recorded and put that out, like, he literally probably had done it, you know, within days. He wasn't someone who had to work on songs for, you know, he'll write a song and record it the next day and it's done and perfect. So.
Did you spend a lot of time with him in the studio watching him work?
Not so much. I mean, like I said, I've been to Quad before, and I went to the Can-Am studio, but no, not really. Like, it wasn't playtime at the studio with him. You know, it wasn't a place where there would be mad females, and, you know, when he came to work, it was work time.
You'd mentioned you were there when the OJ trial, when the verdict came in.
Yes, I was at the prison with him when the verdict came down, And, you know, all the prisoners, everybody, but him too, was like, you know, it was like a victory for all, you know, the black people who've been falsely convicted, or, you know, I'm sitting there like as a female, like, but that lady, you know, and he, you know, he's just like, nah, like, you know, all injustices, he felt, you know, that kind of gave them something. His cousins was there, everybody, like, you know, everybody was like, yeah, and they were clapping, and, you know, everybody was an eruption of applause. Everybody was happy. All the prisoners were happy he got off.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. That trial was something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're there a few more days, or how long do you actually stay out there with Tupac?
I was out there for like a week or so.
Is there any more memorable times you could share from being out there?
No. I did play this song for him, and I liked the beat a lot, and I was telling him I wanted him to make a song to this beat. Jamiroquai is the artist. So he was like, bet. You know, he gave me some money, told me go shopping. He said he was going to go to the studio, record the song. And when he came back in that evening, you know, he played Who Do You Believe In? And, you know, I was like, that's dope. You know, I kind of like, you know, kind of contributed a little something to that song. And, you know, other than that, like, we went to the apartment, went out to eat, you know, we just was kicking it. But we did spend, you know, a lot of time in the room as well, so.
So you go back home to New York, and do you guys see each other again from there, or?
No, we had another disagreement about something, so we weren't talking at the time. And I ended up moving to California. But ironically, as it would be, the day that I got back to New York, I'm living in Brooklyn still, and I go to this, I think I was going to the, like, there's a Chinese food on Marcy. And who do I see as I'm going into the damn store? But Big pulls up in a car with somebody, and he's like, Des, what's up? And I just was like I had just came back from Cali, you know, so I was like, hey, but, you know, I was like, you know, you know who I'm with, like, you know, I was like, I didn't, you know, want to interact too much with him, because, you know, I already knew what time it was. And unlike other people, I'm not going to be chilling with someone that I'm in love with, enemy or alleged enemy, because, you know, I don't think it should have went that far. I know, I be rambling. He's like,
Did Biggie say anything to you? Was this already after Hit 'Em Up came out, or?
This was not. This is the day I came back from California, like that night. Nah, he just was like, what's up, Des? Like, come here. He was trying to call me over, and I was like, nah, you know, I was like, hey, but I was like, nah, you know. I said, you know, I'm with Pac, like, you know. So I just was like, I just left.
Kept it moving. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so at one point, the Tyson fight happens, and you get the news that Tupac has been shot. Do you remember where you were or what you were doing? I
do remember exactly. I was living in the Bay Area. I figured I would go out to Cali, you know, situate myself, and we'll bump heads again. You know, I'm thinking like, it ain't over, because it's like every time we see each other or connect with each other, we always like get back to talking. So, you know, I thought I had time, and I was in the house that night. I couldn't sleep. Like, I was tossing and turning, and I woke up in the morning. My mother called me and was like, are you okay? And I'm like, what you mean if I'm okay? And she was like, you didn't hear? And she told me that. I have to say, I started to bawl. But this is when he was just shot, and I knew he was like, but he was hurt badly. I booked the flight. I just went straight to the airport and got on a plane, went straight to Vegas. I found out what hospital he was at, and I went straight there. And when I got there, I saw his cousin and Kidada, and, you know, she was unfriendly to say the least. But his cousin went and got his aunt and told her that I was out there. So his aunt came out and, you know, she told me that, you know, they were stabilizing him. He had just came out of a surgery. You know, she told me if I wanted to see him, I could see him the next day, you know, and asked me where I was staying and you know, told me I could stay where the family, you know, like, stay in part of the hospital where the family was at. And, you know, that began, you know, that was the second day he was shot, and I was there till he passed away.
Did you ever get a chance to see him?
I didn't want to see him because how they described how swollen he was and how he looked, and that, you know, I knew also from conversations with him, he was the type of person, he didn't want people to be standing over him, watching him in vulnerable situations like that. So I figured, you know, he started to get better. I told her I would wait till he was conscious and, you know, like we could talk. Just didn't get that opportunity. He never, you know, came out of the medically induced coma, that, well, sedation that they had him under.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember from an outsider's point of view, man, you know, we all thought he was going to be okay.
Well, they were making arrangements to transfer him to a rehab center, you know, because he had lost a finger, his lung, you know, so he was going to have to do rehabilitation, and he was getting better, you know, like we all had that like sigh of relief, like he's gonna, you know, he's coming out of this, he made it. The next day, he didn't make it, and it was like the weirdest thing. So like we were staying at the Golden Nugget in Vegas, like his whole family and everybody, and you know, we were getting ready. Me and some of the guys were getting ready to go to the hospital. Everybody was taking different times of being there, and his mom was downstairs in the lobby playing a slot machine, and all of a sudden the machine went off and she started winning. Like the money just started pouring out. And this is the same time that he went into cardiac arrest. Like it was the strangest thing.
Man, so this kind of just came out of nowhere. You guys thought he was getting better. Everything was looking good.
Yep.
So you guys rushed to the hospital?
Yes. Yep.
And you guys get the news, I take it?
No, his mother went in and, you know, she told him, like, his heart stopped, and she just told him, stop. Like, don't, just leave him alone already. You know, he's been through enough. And she was like, do not resuscitate him, leave him alone. And that's when, you know, she came out and we got the news at that moment.
I bet that must have been rough for you. Everybody.
It was devastating. It was devastating. I wasn't ready for something like that to happen, especially when you think, you know, there'll always be another day. You'll get to see somebody that, you know, I really, like, was in love with, strong, you know. So, yeah, that was devastating. His mother, you know, was an amazingly strong woman. She comforted us. You know, that I couldn't even begin to having kids. I couldn't even understand, like, if something happened to my kids, I couldn't have the strength that she has at all.
Yeah, man. Ugh, it's rough, man. You know, I know we were all surprised, you know, from just from a fan's perspective. We didn't, you know, like I said, we expected him to pull through. He's Tupac.
Yeah.
He'd been shot before. You know, we thought he was gonna make it, man.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Did any celebrities come visit him in the hospital?
A lot. A lot. Snoop came. Yo-Yo came. Adina Howard came. MC Hammer. A lot of people. You know, they didn't get to go in and see him, but they just came to show support and hung out, you know, like we'd be either in the lobby or we would be outside in the parking lot, you know. But a lot of people did come.
How are the Outlaws taking it? I believe Gaddafi.
Yeah, when Pac passed, and we got back to the hotel, he just was like, he knows he ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna be here long. He could feel death, you know. And I was like telling him, don't say that.
At this point, were you really close with the Outlaws?
Yes. When Pac was in jail, I used to like go to Jersey, stay at his Yaki's mom's house, and you know, Yak would take me out and hang out all over the hood, and you know, stay up eating cereal, watching TV, you know. So, I mean, I was close in age with all of them, so you know, we got along and we was cool. I spent a lot of time, you know, I had met them already when I was in Atlanta, and then sometimes, you know, when they would come to New York and he'd be like in, you know, the hotels or whatever. But when I was, you know, staying upstate and going to visit him, I also got to spend time with them there as well when they would come.
Okay, I see. So you kind of developed a friendship with him during all that time.
Yes.
Spending together and hanging out. Now Tupac has passed away. Do you go back to Cali with the family?
Yeah, I flew back with his mother and his aunt. And, you know, I stayed the night with his mom at his apartment. You know, one of the sweetest things she did, like, she slept in the bed with me that night. I was so distraught. Like, I just, yeah. So, and I slept like so peaceful in his bed that night, though. It was, you know, a crazy thing, because you would think, or maybe I just was so exhausted from crying and crying and crying, you know. But I stayed there. So the next day, you know, the boys and his sister and everybody came over. They went to go get tattoos, you know, in memory of him. I didn't go. I was kind of like spaced out. I just was drinking, you know, drinking Hennessy, smoking. But like once they left, Jasmine Guy came over there, and she's very kind, you know. I know they had something. I'm sure she knew that I had some relationship with him as well, but she was a lady and she acted as such, you know. She had brought food. That was the first time I had Roscoe's. It was, you know, the first time I ate in 2 days as well. You know, we smoked, and with Mom, you know, we just all talking and just figuring things out. But, you know, I kind of, like I said, I was in a daze for a couple of days. And then they did, you know, like that night. No, I don't think it was that night. I think it was the following night they ended up doing like a memorial for him at her house.
Man, that was, sounds horrible, man. You know, everybody, it seems like a lot of people came by, supported you guys, was there for you guys. You know, I believe, yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Outlaws and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you end up staying there?
After the day after his memorial, I flew back to Cali. I mean, to the Bay. the first time I went to the airport, there was like a code on my ticket, but I didn't know what it was. So I ended up calling Yak, and Yak was like, just jump in the cab and come over here till we get in contact with the girl who was his assistant, you know. So, but, you know, that was my last time seeing him too. And, you know, he was just drunk. He was being reckless, and, you know, and he was just hurt really bad. But that was my last time seeing him. All of them, actually. I haven't seen any of, you know, I haven't seen them, but I kind of reconnected with Muta, so, you know, recently, which is cool.
After this, you know, you get back to your place, and, you know, are you just kind of just trying to get back to going back to normal life and everything?
No. There was no, that's not what happened. What happened was I got back to Cali, and I would drink every single day for a while and just cry all night long, cry myself to sleep.
Man, that sucks, man.
Yeah. I couldn't watch his movies. I couldn't listen to his music. I couldn't hear his voice. I just couldn't take it.
I believe when I interviewed Kendrick Wells, his assistant,
Yeah.
a couple years back.
Oh, I didn't know you interviewed him. That's who picked me up from the airport. I bumped into him in Vegas, you know, a few years down the line. But what's up? What did he say?
Yeah, no, I interviewed him, and I think he said the same thing, that he couldn't really listen to Tupac's music for a while.
Yeah.
That it was rough.
I think I couldn't listen to his music for damn near 10 years. Like, I would have to turn it off.
Man. Yeah, I could see that. That could be rough, man. You know, Tupac passes away, and all these crazy rumors start going out around about him.
Like what?
What were you thinking when you heard all of that?
What rumors? Like that he's alive and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You would hope that it's true, but I don't think that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think when Biggie was killed?
I thought it was messed up. He didn't deserve that. And, you know, it was very weird to me how it all happened, that they never caught his killers, you know, all of that. I thought, you know, I didn't know what exactly transpired or what happened. Probably never know.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, you kind of knew him too a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
I did. I didn't live too far away from him. So, you know, I would see him from time to time before they had their falling out. And he was a very nice guy. Very cool, you know. It's terrible. It's terrible. These two ladies lost their sons. And all this stemmed from a fake rape. That's just my opinion, because none of this would have happened if that wouldn't have happened.
Okay. Time goes on, and, you know, things keep moving. Do you ever keep in contact with the family and the mom and everybody?
I did keep in contact with Psych. I ended up running into him in Miami one night, and so funny because I run into him at a club, and we're staying at the same hotel. So we hung out like every day, you know, that we were down there. And then like when I went to Cali, you know, he came, he took me and my son out. You know, we went to like the Santa Monica Pier. He took us to a barbecue out in the desert. You know, we were cool. We kept in contact. You know, I even asked him, I have a small child, and, you know, I had called him and told him I was pregnant, I'm having a baby, and, you know, before he passed away, we had, you know, spoken, and I was planning to take a trip to Cali But, you know, so I was like, you know, when I come out there, we're going to link up. But he passed in his sleep, and, you know, that was sad as well. Didn't get the chance to, you know, see him one last time.
Yeah, Big Psych. A lot, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, have passed away fatal. Did you know him at all?
I didn't know him. I don't think he wasn't there when in Vegas. I don't know if, like, maybe he was locked up or something, but I never met him.
Okay.
But that was sad as well. It's very tragic, you know, such a young life.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
What was Suge Knight like when you guys were hanging out for that week out there? Was he around?
No, he wasn't around. I only met him at the jail. And
oh, okay.
Yeah, he was, you know, I didn't, you know, yeah, I didn't, he wasn't there.
I have a question. I have a question, Cam.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
How much do you think Tupac loved you?
How much do I think he loved me? I think he loved me. He loved me as a friend. He loved me as a woman. You know, there were times we talked about having children, and for him to trust you, he, you know, to love, for like the trust that he had with me was also from a place of love.
How much did you love him?
I didn't love him. I mean, I still love him, but I don't think I've ever loved anybody as much as I loved him.
Wow.
That's gonna get me in trouble.
Um,
No, it is. But
you said you cooked for him.
I did.
Did you cook for him numerous times? And what was his favorite thing to eat from you?
No. So I only cooked for him that day in the house, and his mother had, she made Dungeness, he loved crabs, Dungeness crabs. He, fried chicken. He also loved this damn little restaurant in LA, El Pollo Loco. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that charbon chicken. Mm-hmm. I know, I like it too. Yeah, so I only cooked for him that day, and I didn't know how to cook back then. Now I could, boy. But back then, no, I couldn't cook. I thought I was going to poison him, that I was going to give him raw chicken. By a miracle, it came out good. He was high anyway, so I'm sure anything would have tasted good.
And you briefly touched on this. Did any of Tupac's friends or any other person in the industry attempt to court you?
Mm-mm. Okay. Mm-mm. What else? When we were, well, one, you asked me any more stories. When I was in Atlanta, he ended up having a barbecue, and they invited people over. And I remember there was this, like, you know, there was this female there that worked at Magic City, and I'm sure she probably had the hots for him. So, you know, she was talking to me, and you know, she's like, oh, how old are you? How's this? She's like, where are you from? You know, she was trying to get, like, information. And she's like, you know, another time she's like, oh, my God, like, you're a baby. She was like, she made a comment of, like, I wonder what he sees in her. And, you know, like, he had to kind of, like, tell her, like, yo, like, you know, I don't know what you're thinking, but that's, you know, that's my baby. Like, you know, she's with me, and, you know, she's good. And at another, you know, point in that day, like, which was a fun part of the day, was they were all outside playing football. He took off all his jewelry and put it on me. And then, you know, some of the Outlaws is like trying to run behind me, acting like they're gonna take it off, you know, they're gonna rob me and stuff like that. Like, you know, but just playing around. Like, they were all very playful. It was always, you know, good, fun energy. I didn't have brothers and sisters close growing up. You know, I do have a brother now, but, you know, so I never really, like, got to experience that type of family dynamics. I was the only child for a very long time, and, you know, it was cool. His uncle, funny as hell, Castro's dad, and, you know, it was a nice dynamic to be a part of and experience, you know, that I'll always cherish. You got any more questions?
Yes, I got one more question.
Okay.
Because, you know, we all know that they made a Tupac movie. Did any producers from the movie contact you for information about him so they could put into the movie?
I think that nobody really knew. I would say more so later in social media times that, or maybe from the letters, the pictures, because they were in the movies. I didn't know that. I didn't watch the movie. And aside from that, I kind of just went into hibernation / depression. I really wasn't around. Had they even contacted me, I would have turned it down. I wouldn't have, you know, probably wanted to do anything.
Just a you know, fantasy type of thing. What do you think he would be doing now if he was alive?
He would be making movies. He would be not acting, but literally producing movies. Because that was his goal. That was something he talked about. He wanted to start writing screenplays, directing, producing. He would have been a force.
And this is for you now. Did you have any aspirations to be in the industry? Okay. No rap?
I always wanted to be a cook.
Okay.
A chef. Yeah. You know.
One of the things that, that we didn't even really know about was that Tupac was with Kidada Jones when he passed away.
You didn't know that?
Not at the time.
Oh, okay.
Not at the time. I don't think I didn't know. Maybe it was out there, but
I didn't know either beforehand until I said I didn't know till I got there. No, maybe I don't know. I don't even remember. But yeah, he was with her. They were engaged.
Yeah. Did you guys ever talk or anything, run into each other or anything?
Yeah. We didn't talk. She didn't like me from the moment I showed up at the hospital, or, you know, she had a little attitude about it. We saw each other in his mother's room after he passed. But years later, I would run back into her. I was working with a friend on Tommy Hilfiger fashion show, and she worked with Tommy. So when she saw me, she had another attitude attack. So I had to work from home because, you know, she didn't want me there. But I was just like, oh, okay. You know, first of all, we're in the hospital. Your concern should be his health, not me. You know, but that was her energy.
Oh, another question.
Yes, love.
Did Tupac support your efforts in school?
Yes, he did. He definitely did. That was, like I said, you know, our friendship. He always told me, you know, I need to get my head on my shoulders, focus, do what I need to do, that I'm smart and I'm beautiful, but don't use my beauty as the main thing, you know, to always strive to have my own and never, you know, depend on no man.
All right. Well, man, Desiree, I super appreciate you, man. Sharing your story. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Man, I can't thank you enough, man. You know, sounds like quite a ride you had for those few years, you know. You know, it was a dope interview, man. I know the fans are gonna love it, you know, especially those hardcore, you know, Tupac. Tupac got some of the most ride or die fans ever.
And he was the same way for his fans. That, when we were flying to LA, so we're in first class, and, you know, we had some champagne, we smoked before we went in the airport. So we kind of knocking out for the flight, and, you know, I wake up first, and it's this little white kid standing right over him oh, it's Tupac. You know, the flight attendant runs over there no, you need to go back. And he was leave him, you know. He was you want an autograph? He starts talking to the kid. He would stop anything to talk to his fans. I thought that was the sweetest because, we were literally sleeping, you know. And he, he was very gracious to his fans and had a lot of love for them.
Man, that's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope. But man, this was a great interview.
Thank you.
I'm sure that kid is probably gonna see this. He's gonna be like, no, that was me.
Right. Yep. Or the plane ride to Atlanta too. That was it was like Mopreme, Psych, a whole bunch of people were on that plane with us. So it was turned up. We was drinking, laughing, joking. He had his camcorder. He's taking videos, and that was fun. It was a lot of good times.
Well, man, like I said, I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to share some of my stories.